afternoon to the WorldCoin Talk Twitter Spaces community. Here today we have AMA with NumisMe. The vision for NumisMe is a comprehensive DeFi platform that caters to both retail consumers and DeFi savvy users. NumisMe comprises the NumisMe app and the DeFi savings account, NumisMe Pro, higher yield DeFi products, and pay me loans, self-repaying crypto loans. We'll get into that and more shortly. But first, could we start with the background and experience of the core team? That'd be great.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if anybody else on my team has speaker rights here, but let me just start off by introducing myself. I'm Mr. Mister. I'm project lead on NumisMe, and in terms of experience and just further background, maybe I should start with background first. I've been in crypto since 2016. Been in DeFi since 2019, so I got to actually see with my own eyes and my own bags DeFi summer, right? And I come from Silicon Valley. I come from the tech world, and been doing that for so many more years than I prefer to mention. But for me, it was really just becoming a bit disillusioned with the promise of big tech, right? To deliver value to the world, to make positive change, to do no harm, to do no evil, right? To help everyone. And it became increasingly clear to me that that was just what people say, right? And that's just a nice slogan for folks to have. But in reality, the things that were happening and the products that were being built fell far short from that goal, right? And I think that led me to really look into understanding DeFi, and maybe it was just my mindset at the time, but at that point, I starting to understand finance and learning finance and understanding how the world's capitalistic economies work, started to also realize that there's an incredible amount of unfairness and a lot of really just the elites that are helping themselves, right? While the masses, the 99.99% of people, are just picking up the scraps. And so I came to this realization that I want to actually do some good, and I want to actually help people, and I want to change the way this world works. And maybe that first place to start is really the financial system. And so I rotated fully into all my assets into crypto back then, around the 2019 timeframe. And since then, I've just been super focused on DeFi. Really started my journey then, and got to a point as a regular community member through my contributions and through my engagement in the community, to really got to a point where I was able to become core team on become actual respected community member first on a couple projects, and managed to make my way into a core team role and on one project, and found myself at one point becoming that project lead. And so from there, really just watching DeFi, right? And all the different trends and the different waves of innovation that we've seen in DeFi in just, a few short years. We've seen multiple different trends. And with those trends came a lot of learnings, right? Because we are building something new here. And sure, we are doing it on a really compressed timeline. But with that compressed timeline comes with a lot of difficult learnings that happen at a really fast pace, right? And so now I come to find myself up on the as project lead of NumisMe, and what we're doing here is everything that you mentioned at the top there. It is to deliver yield generating financial products to the masses, and the way we intend to do that is first to incorporate all the learnings that we've seen over the past few years, right? Be really mindful of our tokenomics, be really mindful of our product mix, and then to build out a mobile app that will allow folks to onboard into crypto. Not just, when I say folks, I'm talking about the mainstream consumer, the true retail, the folks out there that have no crypto currently, or maybe they have crypto and don't know DeFi, or maybe they're just not ready to get right? We want to onboard all those folks into crypto through our mobile app, which is going to be the first of its kind, right? We are going to be the first project to deliver real world utility onto a token, the Noom token, right? And the way we do that is we go to our real world, real life retail partners, and we set up a system that allows us to take the change, the fiat change that anybody gets from their purchase at a store, and digitize that and bring that into our mobile app as digital fiat. And from there, it's possible to really do whatever you want because you have the digital fiat. You didn't have to go through a bank. You didn't have to go through a centralized exchange, which also requires a bank to fund your account. You can have direct exposure to crypto and start swapping into whatever asset you please. We hope it's Noom. And more importantly, it gives folks access to our DeFi products and the yields that we can generate, which are many orders of magnitude greater than what the banks are willing to give. And we do that through a mobile app that we are benchmarking a user experience against the likes of a Venmo or a Cash App or a Revolut app, right? Something that's super simple, even simpler than Revolut, just a few taps. Don't need to understand the complexities of DeFi, just need to be able to understand things like what is the interest rate? What am I earning? How much do I have in my account? And through that, we do intend to become the first project to be able to actually cross into the real world, right? Be able to interact with the real world and truly start to build at least one of the foundational building blocks that we're going to need to really make crypto mainstream, right? Because as mainstream as it is today, we are still we are only able to interact within this walled garden of crypto and the even smaller walled garden of DeFi. And that's not a mainstream play. The only way we can get to the mainstream point for crypto and for DeFi is to be able to interact with the real world. And that is our mission. Our mission is to bring crypto to the masses, but more importantly, to build financial products and help contribute to a new financial system that is more accessible to everyone. It shouldn't matter where you live, who you are, and how much money you have. You should still have the same access to the same ability to generate yield against your assets that the super wealthy currently have access to in the traditional financial system. And by doing that, we deliver the yield in a huge majority of the yield to users, and in that way we are hoping that it becomes a more just system, right? Something where everybody has a chance to participate, where everybody shares in the rewards, and it makes everybody better off at the end of the day, right? We do truly believe that we can ride this tide that raises all the boats and not just the select few. So sorry, I know that was a lot of words for an intro, but yes, I am Mr. Mister. I am project lead on NumisMe, and that is our mission, right? To bring more accessible financial products and build a more just financial system that is able to service everyone, not just the select few. But as far as the folks on the team, I know we have Aaron here. He does seem to have speaker rights, and Mr. Pappy as well. They're on the community side. And we met through our community activities on previous projects. And I think that just speaks to kind of the beauty of DeFi, right? We are all learning together, we're building together, but it is the community. It's this family that is so willing to help people, so willing to give information and help other people along their journey and to contribute as they can to help everyone, right? That's in a particular project. But yeah, maybe I should let Aaron speak on his own behalf as far as who he is and where he's coming from.
Yeah, introduction stuff. That should give Poppy a chance to go ahead and make sure that he's connecting. He's having some issues, but we'll get him in here as soon as we can. As far as me, my name's Aaron. I actually came from a background in the service industry. I'm a very people-oriented person. I'm very, very, yeah, we'll say social butterfly type deal. So I'm one of the community leads, and I've been passionate about this project ever since I first heard of it. Which was about would have been back probably in the very beginning of March, end of February, when co-founder Jay Huffman gave me a call, told me about the project. He'd been doing some work with one of my other bosses at the time. I've been in crypto about 18 months. I got into it during the Doge craze. I had a lot of friends who actually made a little bit of money during that. Not anything significant. Like I don't have any Doge friends or Dogecoin millionaire friends, but it was another reminder that this financial sector and this was there. And at first when I got into it, honestly, like I was looking to make a buck. I was like, okay, people are making money on this. But then I realized that this world of cryptocurrency and decentralized finance and blockchain technology was actually a mechanism to free us from the current financial systems that Mr. very fairly pointed out as being a central issue to not just our society, but to, I mean, honestly, to the human race. Uh, I'm just gonna put it. So I mean, it's not that I think that everybody should be in some sort of, this forced equality, but I mean, I do think that things are out of balance. That the so we're here to help reestablish some of that balance by providing these incredible financial tools that give people the ability to not only somewhat circumvent the kinds of things that are in place that could prevent access into crypto, regulations that kind of force the banks to not deal with the centralized exchanges, and people in those countries, they're not allowed to interact with them through their banking systems. Maybe give them some option with their cash purchasing power, which especially, around the world, I mean, is still really the biggest the biggest the biggest way money is still being used, and still here in the United States too. It's still a very good chunk of people. We've got a big country and a lot of cash purchasing power. And by the way, guys, like when he's talking about the ability to digitize your fiat after cash purchases, it's not just the change in coins. It's your cash too. It's paper and coin. It's everything. You can choose whatever denomination you want to receive back. If you go into a store and you spend $45.60, you're going to come out with, you're going to come out with $54.50 in your NumisMe app. So the ability to actually like channel funds into this financial tool, which you can use peer to peer, connect to bank accounts if you want, um, keep all your transactional history. You can even get a debit and credit card in the future, kind of pushing a little far ahead on the roadmap there. But the whole point is that this is not like an Acorn Roundup app. Like we're not trying to like tell you that your pennies are going to go the distance and make you rich in 10 years. What we're what we're providing is a real ability to save money. I cannot tell you how many times I have lost money because I just had it sitting in my pocket, just burning a hole, dude. Like my car, my couch, the on the ground somewhere. Maybe somebody fucking nipped it, maybe someone stole it. Maybe I just wanted to go spend it because it was there. So none of that's going to happen. I'm going to retain all of my net worth after I go out and spend cash doing all the things I need to do, buying my groceries, you know. It's a no-brainer for me. For me personally, I spend so much more money. I'm a big cash spender. And anyway, to wrap it back around, that's how Jay Huffman hooked me, because I realized this was a financial tool that would change my life. And if that's the case, I mean, it can change everybody else's too.
Well
Awesome,
said.
this-
Sorry, I don't know if we're allowed to drop the F bomb in here, but that was well said. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Sorry.
Great, Mr. and Mr. Aaron. That's a great introduction to the NumisMe project. I'm looking at the NumisMe app. Maybe we can talk to Twitter community about that. You can connect your bank account, credit card, or Web3 wallet, how that works for investors, and what the security is built around that.
Yeah, so let me unpack the security first, because we're actually quite proud of our security chops. From a security standpoint, we do really focus on not just security of the smart contracts and security of funds, but also security of the yield strategies that we use. So at the heart of it, right, we are generating yield through what we call our yield engine, and that's our yield generating products that are currently live on app.numisme.io today. And those products are multi-audited, right? But really, the proudest audit that we have is not from a centralized firm, it's from a distributed, decentralized audit firm called the Code Arena. And the way those folks operate is they let loose their army of smart contract specialists, and everybody has kind of a slightly different specialization. So they're all, these potentially dozens to maybe even 100 analysts are looking at your code in slightly different ways, right? And what that gives us is the ability to optimize our code and patch any exploits that are more than just things that will directly put funds at risk. It's things that will potentially affect how much gas that you have to spend, right? It's gas optimization findings. It's all these different, user experience related findings in our smart contracts that we're able to patch before we launch, right? So at the heart of it is our smart contract security. And we spend a lot of time for the second point, the second layer of security, we spend a lot of time vetting the protocols that we use in our yield strategies to make sure that they're not at risk of, going belly up, right? Maybe if it's a stable coin, there's no DPEG risk. To really look at their books, to really understand their debt and, what the quality of that debt looks like. And really all of that is in service of making sure that we can reliably deliver yield in any market condition, whether it's a bear market or a bull market. We can deliver that yield reliably and sustainably. And we can do, while we can't control the underlying asset volatility, or we can't control the price of the underlying asset. Say it's ETH, right, or it's CVX, right? We can continue to deliver that yield positively, right? So you're always able to have a positive ROI on your initial investment and your initial deposit into our vaults. Now, when it comes to the mobile app, right, the thing that allows you to take your change, your fiat from a store and turn it into crypto, turn it into digital fiat, which you can use to purchase crypto within our app. The security there is also, it sits on top of the security of our smart contracts, because that really is at the core of everything we do. But we are also working with multiple vendors, right, that have really tight security. And I think maybe I'll refrain from naming who specifically for now. But we are very focused on vetting their security practices, making sure that all their APIs, because we're building a mobile app in the Web 2 world, we are dealing with Web 2 principles, and we want to make sure that their APIs are solid, that their security practices are healthy, and they maintain good security hygiene, and that we can rely on them to help us build what is a really complicated product, right? This mobile app that's able to take your physical fiat and digitize your fiat. It's no small feat, right? But through our different partners, we can build it. It does nobody any good if at the end of the day we choose a partner that is not, adherent to best practices on security and is not security focused. So we are really careful in who we go with and who we work with. And so to that end, I think from a security perspective and a safety of user funds, that is top of mind for us every single day, right? That is what I wake up thinking about, and that's what I go to sleep thinking about. And of course, I sprinkle in a little bit of, how do we generate yield? Where are we going to go for the best yield today? And what is the user experience like? And oh, by the way, we have to make sure that our marketing is good and our community is tight and that our partners are happy. So there's a lot that I wake up to every morning, but really at the top of that list is the safety of user funds. I hope that answers your question.
Great, Mr. Mister, yeah. And with the NumisMe Pro app, you're saying, not the Pro app, the NumisMe app, you can connect your bank account, wondering which countries it'll start with, or will it, expand in the future, what fiat currencies you can use when the app launches, and what crypto currencies you'll be able to use.
Yeah, so we're definitely going to be supporting Noom in the app. We will be rolling out really we're every step we take is very considered, right? And our approach to launching the mobile app, which is currently in development, it will be on iOS and Android, but that is on the month scale right now. And when we do launch, though, we are going to focus on our home market. Our home market for us is the US. And even within the US, we will probably be launching in a smaller geo, in a smaller area, whether it's a city or a state, just so we can prove up the technology and get in, show those wins to our retail partners. And from there, we plan to scale globally, right? And the approach for our global scale up is really just, it's dependent on who we're able to talk to and onboard as partners. But the great thing is the discussions we're having right now with big box retailers in the US, with travel and hospitality chains in the US, they all have global reach, right? So they will enable us to launch in any of the markets that they are currently in around the world, but we will be focusing currently on the US market, for at least the near to medium term. And sorry, you had another question in there. I totally, it flew out of my mind there. Did I answer them all, or did you have another one in there?
Was it the what types of crypto currencies you'll be able to use?
Yes, so it'll be stablecoins and Noom and ETH, and we can really support any crypto that we decide, but we don't have a final list for you yet. But I can tell you for sure that a bunch of stablecoins, ETH, and Noom will be supported.
Okay, awesome, Mr. and Mr. And the NumisMe Pro app, can we go into that for the Twitter community and self-repaying loans, higher yield DeFi products?
Yes, let's do that. Well, let me start off by saying it's so amazing that you're so well versed in our project already. I can't tell you how many AMAs we do where folks are kind of like reading through our white paper and our documentation, on the spot as we're doing the AMA. So, thank you, sir. It's a great question. And to answer your question about NumisMe Pro, currently we have NumisMe's core yield engine live at app.numisme.io. Right. And if you look at our roadmap on NumisMe.io, which is our homepage, our landing page, you'll see that we do have our NumisMe Pro product a little bit further down the roadmap. And what NumisMe Pro is built on top of is our next generation vault architecture, right? The way that it works today is when anybody wants to deposit into our vaults, they have to make sure that they have the correct asset, right? And they have to go get that asset themselves, and they have to go into a vault. And that vault deploys that asset into a yield strategy. The way that we want to change, and this will be an innovation in the space, the way we're looking to change the way our vaults work with NumisMe Pro is we are going to make them multi-asset, multi-strategy vaults. And because they're multi-asset, we're calling them our canonical vaults. It's a little bit of a technical term, but our next generation NumisMe Pro vaults will be called our canonical vaults. And the way that'll work is we'll have different classes of vaults that service different asset classes, right? And let's take, for example, just stablecoins. And if our NumisMe Pro stablecoin vault will be able to will allow a user to deposit a range of stablecoins, whatever stablecoin they likely have in their wallet at the time. They will be able to deposit that into the vault, and the vault will automatically swap that asset on the user's behalf into the asset we need for the current yield strategy that's associated with that vault. And that makes it super easy for anybody to come in and say, hey, look, I don't have any USDC, but look, I have DAI. Okay, cool. You can deposit the DAI, and if we need that DAI to be USDC, we'll make that happen, and we'll deploy that into a USDC-based yield strategy. Now, that's the multi-asset aspect of our canonical vaults. The multi-strategy aspect of the canonical vaults allows users to essentially set and forget about their deposit, right? Because as we come to find better, usually higher yield generating strategies out there, we can switch the strategy that the funds are earning against. And when we do that, we can on the user's behalf, with their permission, we can unwind their current yield strategy, right? Their current vault position, take it all the way out, swap the asset that they're currently in, and you put it into an asset that we need for the new yield strategy, and then deploy that new asset into that new yield strategy. So it's kind of like you can deposit anything you want, and no matter what happens with our yield strategies, what we choose to use going forward, you can rest assured that you don't have to do anything. You don't have to withdraw from one vault and go into another, right? You don't have to take your one asset and swap it for another. You just deposit that one kind of stable coin. We'll do whatever we need to do with it to make it start generating yield for you. If we end up switching a yield strategy, we'll make sure to do that on your behalf. So really, at the end of the day, it is a way to generate that passive income. It's a way to just set and forget about your investment. Just deposit that one time, and you can be assured that you'll be generating that yield in bear and bull markets for as long as you're in the vault. So that's
because
pretty much the
we're
core
rolling up our
philosophy.
sleeves, doing all the work for you. 100%.
Yeah, let us take all the hassle. Let us take the time to research the market. Let us take on the stress of, looking at different, yield strategies and what their APRs are and all that. Let us do that for you, and you can enjoy the benefits. And for that, we do charge a small performance fee, and that does represent a portion of our revenue. But if anything, I think that owes to just the way we look at ourselves and our market position. We are a business, right? We do need to make sure that we are generating revenue, because at the end of the day, if you're not revenue positive on something that's sustainable, like vault deposits, you're just hoping for the price to keep going up, and you're hoping that more people buy the token than sell it. And that's not what we're about. We're about generating revenue. We're about delivering safe, reliable, sustainable yield in any market.
Okay, great, Mr. and Mr. And so you're going to have certain people in the core team that will look for high APY projects for investors. And are you mainly looking at safe sort of bets, top 100 market cap? I mean, there's plenty out there offering 20, 30, 40% APYs a year, or will you look for more, a smaller startup as well in the future?
Yeah, and it's not just the highest. We will likely almost never, I can't say never, because we do offer one of the highest APRs and APYs on stablecoin today. But likely, we do avoid the highest APR yield strategies out there, because they tend to not be sustainable and they tend to be higher risk. And so we'd rather sacrifice some of the yield potential, leave that on the table, and focus more on sustainability, reliable yield, and really the safety of user funds, right? Because if we go into a yield strategy and that project with that super high APY and APR, they start to go down or they fail, then that doesn't do anybody good. And in fact, that one risk is what I lose sleep over, right? So yeah, I'd rather not lose any sleep. I'd rather deliver reliable yield than go chasing 1,000 APYs, 1,000% APYs. But yes, at the core of it, we are focused. We do have folks that are constantly looking at the market, looking at projects, looking at trends, and making sure that we're positioned to deliver the best possible yield that makes sense for us, right? That risk mitigated and safety of user funds.
Yeah, our goal is, as a business model, is not just making money, but it's about continual growth and longevity. We're not looking to make a quick buck in a year or two, and through dangerous, risky investment, schemes, and promise these ridiculous APRs, only to just basically, lose all the liquidity for holders. Like this is a decade-long vision. I mean, and if we adapt with the times, it'll be 2 or 3. We don't know, because we're looking for that kind of long-term future development. So yeah, we're always going to be going with the safest plays, with the best performance we can do, to make sure that we're not risking our business or our investors' funds in the process.
Okay, I see, Mr. now. And will you be sending the funds over to Binance Central Exchange for investors, as an example, or will it actually be on the NumisMe Pro app that you're staking?
Well, to be clear, we don't take custody of anybody's funds, right? So we can't do anything like block withdrawals or anything like that. But we'll almost certainly never be using Binance as a yield source. What we do, it's all on chain, right? All assets are on chain and they are accessible on chain. So even if, like, say our web server goes down, like, and our website goes offline and you can't access app.numisme.io through a Chrome browser, right? You can always access your funds through a blockchain explorer, like, for example, Etherscan for the Ethereum chain, right? And with it is a little bit more technical and it is less of a seamless user experience, but that is always going to be there because we don't go into any centralized entities like a Binance.
I see, Mr. And can we go into the staking Noom with the token? That's 2.5x APR boost on the NumisMe Pro app and the ETH revenue you share from staking.
Yes. So on top of our long-term vision to build real world utility into our token, right? The ability for our token to help folks take their cash from the physical world into the digital world. We do have a bunch of different utility in the DeFi and the crypto space that you just mentioned. To start off with, for anybody that holds Noom, they can stake their Noom to boost their APR on their vault position, right? And you can boost that APR by up to 2.5x, depending on how much Noom you stake and how long you stake it for. And that gives you the ability to earn more Noom because vault users get incentivized in Noom. And after they've boosted their rewards APR to up to 2.5x again, they have the ability to vote with their staked Noom to drive even more emissions, even more Noom rewards to the vault of their choice. So you get to earn Noom even faster on top of the 2.5x. You get to earn Noom at however much is being voted towards that vault. And finally, the thing that we're most excited about is our revenue share. So all stakers of Noom will get a piece of the revenue that we share from all the different revenue streams that we have, right? We have revenue coming from our vaults. We have revenue coming from token transactions on the token itself, on buys and sells there. And we do have other incremental revenue streams. We don't need to get into those technicalities, but we are sharing that revenue in ETH, right? And that speaks to the tokenomics model that we're using. So really at the core of it, actually maybe I should back it up a little bit in terms of tokenomics. The way our token works is that we are a reflections token. And that means that we charge a tax on every buy and sell. And that might be familiar to some folks. And, typically we've seen a lot of this model being used by less sustainable projects. Let's call it less sustainable. It's a nice way of putting it, but we see it with projects that are really focused on pumping price, right? And they use the funds from the reflections tax to get their marketing online and try to build the hype, right? And because of that, the reflections model has kind of gotten a bad rap a little bit, right? People tend to associate it with those kinds of less sustainable kind of tokens, right? But we saw an opportunity there just based off of all the learnings that we've amassed over the years in the DeFi space. We saw an opportunity there to use that reflections tax as a source of revenue that will help sustain the project. And really, that allows us to not have to sell our own token. And what that does is it protects the price of the token and it protects the value that every Noom holder has with their Noom holdings, right? And so because of that, we do send 1% of our every buy and sell into our liquidity pool, which helps stabilize the project, make sure that the market is healthy, and that represents an organic buyback. So it helps support the price of Noom because every time we send that 1% into the liquidity pool, we buy Noom with some of that, right? And we lock that forever because when we send our 1% into the liquidity pool, we burn the LP token, which means that nobody, not even us, nobody will ever be able to withdraw that liquidity. It will be there for as long as Uniswap exists, right? And we send another 1% into our dev fund. And what that does for us is allows us to, again, fund our operations, fund continual development, upgrades, new products without having to sell our token. We send another 3% to our marketing fund, which again helps us with our operations because it is important to get that awareness. And while we're not spending too hard right now, just because the market is in a bit of a fearful mentality, and that makes marketing dollars much less efficient. We are still focused on making sure that we don't have to sell the token to fund our marketing. And finally, we send 4% right back to all Noom holders. So whether you have Noom in your wallet or you have Noom staked, just the fact that you have Noom will ensure that you continue to have more Noom going forward, right? Because everyone gets a piece of that 4%, and we send it to everybody in the form of Noom. And so that's our core tokenomics. When it comes to the incentives we're providing, the users of our vaults, they will get the core APR from the strategy, and they will also get that APR from the Noom that we give them as incentives, as a reward for using our vaults. And that APR can be boosted up to 2.5x, and then you can vote for even more to go to the vault of your choice. But vault users will get Noom as rewards. And LP liquidity providers that come and stake their LP tokens with us are also rewarded in Noom, right? And what we've devised is this hybrid emissions model where we do incentivize our vault users and our LP providers with Noom, but then we switch over to Noom staking. And Noom stakers, on top of all those other benefits that we mentioned, they do get rewarded with that revenue share in ETH. And this creates an incentive structure that hopefully will ensure folks do not sell their rewards. And sure, you're going to have folks that sell their rewards. That's fine. But what we're saying is, why sell your rewards? You'll probably be selling your rewards into ETH or maybe some other, asset, but you'll always be going through ETH in your swap path. Why sell it for that one moment in time just to get that one payout when you can stake it and earn ETH? And by staking it and earning ETH, that relieves sell pressure off our own token, because as long as those rewards are staked and so that they can earn ETH, we don't care what happens to that ETH. That you can sell it, you can stake it, you can bring it back into our vaults to earn more Noom as a compounding loop. We don't care. It doesn't affect the price of Noom, right? So everything we do, whether it's from our reflections model and the organic buybacks that come from that, or the hybrid emission structure, or the fact that we don't sell the token, the project doesn't sell the token for operating funds, all that is in service of protecting the value of the token for all Noom holders, right? And that's what we're focused on. It's sure, safety of user funds, top of mind, but really, really in a close second or third there is going to be making sure that we don't hurt the project, we don't hurt the token price, and we can make sure that we deliver, not only just yield, but upwards price action. And sure, that upward movement might be slower than some, meme coins out there, but we think that's okay because we're not in this for the next few months. We're in this for the next few years, right? And as long as we can continue on that path, we're going to deliver that ultimate value to users.
Okay, I see, Mr. and Mr. And what partnerships have you been forming with the NumisMe project, and merchants have you been approaching them?
Yeah, so
Where
that's
the
a
alpha?
great question. that's a tough one to answer right now. We do have NDAs in place, and I don't want to put any of our discussions with our partners at risk. But to just give you an idea of the kinds of partners we're talking to, from our retail merchant integrations, we are talking to big box retailers. You have heard these names, and you have gone to these stores. From our technology partners, we're talking to folks that will help us enable our crypto rails, right? The crypto on ramps and off ramps, and talking to partners that will handle the fiat on ramps and off ramps, and other partners that will help us address regulatory concerns, compliance, KYC, AML, all that good stuff. And we are using a mix of all of these to build that mobile app, right? That takes your fiat cash, your physical fiat into digital fiat.
Yeah, and just to say, like honestly, we can't wait to bring these partners, like seal these deals and bring them out to the public. We're like we can't wait. We're super looking forward to these successful ventures and partner creations, like, intensely.
Okay, great. And yeah, looking to the future, I see you've got debit card planned. Will that be physical or virtual, and which countries will be able to order the debit card?
Yeah, so not sure on which countries just yet. That will be highly dependent on our partnerships. But I can tell you, it is a little bit further down our roadmap. So we do have the time to figure that, get really tight on that, right? But at the at the end of the day, we do want to make sure that we choose the right partner, right? And just to let the partners that we're talking to, the way we talk to them, right, is not like this AMA at all. We don't talk about our yield generating potential. We don't talk about any of the things we've talked about. All they care about is what can we do for them? How much money can we save them? Because there are trillions of dollars in fiat being transacted right around the globe every year, and it costs these retail merchants, these big box stores, it costs them billions of dollars just to maintain the cash that they have in their cash machines. And so the way we approach them is we talk to them about the cost savings that we can bring them, because at the end of the day, that's all they care about. And that's what's been successful for us, is just to tell them, hey, look, we can obviate half of your expenses today, and once we get fully scaled up and we deliver on the vision, we can obviate in your entire liability to on managing that cash. And that's when we say it that way. For example, when we talk to one of our partners, they spend something like 10 billion, was it? I can't remember the number, but it's on the scale of like $10 billion a year just managing their cash. And when we come to them and say, hey, wouldn't it be nice to just save $1 billion? They love it. When we tell them, wouldn't it be nice to save half of that, to save $5 billion a year, their eyes light up, and they're super willing to have that conversation, to continue it, to up level the conversation to various stakeholders, because a lot of different pieces have to come into place. There are a lot of stakeholders, not just on the operational side or maybe the corporate side, but also from the accounting and the financial sides, right? But their eyes light up, and we're always able to progress to that next stage in the conversation. But because we are dealing with, a lot of times, almost every time, Fortune 500 public companies, right? The 500 biggest public companies out there, they do move slow. But that's okay, because we do still need time to build this app. We do need time to get our technology together, and then we're going to need the time to make sure we can integrate our tech stack with their tech stack, right? And every organization is different, so these are long conversations. But we're, like, as Aaron was saying, we can't wait to finally start saying some names, because when we say the names, it'll be like, oh damn, like I go there every day, but we just can't mention any names for now.
See, Mr. And you're planning in the future as well, insurance. I'm wondering what's happening there. You're going to offer house insurance, car insurance, medical insurance?
Oh, no, that's a great question. Actually, it's none of the above. Aaron, we should probably take a note to clarify that on our roadmap. The insurance we're offering is not it is for your crypto. It is for your invested funds, right? So in the worst case scenario, as much as we do mitigate risk and we make sure that, we can be as safe as possible with user funds, there is always going to be that edge case, right? You look at Luna, look at Terra. Nobody expected that DPEG to happen, and certainly nobody expected the crash to happen that quickly. So these edge cases that you can't account for can be protected, right, by insurance. So loss of funds due to a catastrophic event can be insured against. And we are looking to try to do that in-house and offer native insurance to everyone. And there are a few different ways we can pull that off. But we're also talking to partners to offer, maybe a little bit of a discount on third-party insurance against your funds. But that's also on the roadmap. We do want to make sure that not only are people feeling comfortable today with everything that we're doing today, but that they're feeling comfortable for years if they want to leave their vault position in there for years by insuring it and making sure that no matter what happens, their funds will be there, right? And we may get to a point where one day we can have some sort of universal insurance that is backed by a sovereign entity, but for today, it really has to be either we pull this off in-house or we go with third party. And, most likely the way we roll that insurance product out is to start with a third party while we continue to build our in-house solution. But, we're looking at all different avenues right now. It is a bit further down the roadmap, so we do have time.
Okay, so Mr. and Mr. And what's the plans around the marketing to get the NumisMe apps out there to investors, and also the new token there? What are you planning in the future around the marketing?
Yeah, so we look at that in two core ways, right? We look at it in terms of our crypto and DeFi audience. They're kind of lumped in the same group, but they're slightly different. So, but let's just lump them into the same group. We do look at our crypto and DeFi audience, and then we look at our real world audience, right? And the mix of different platforms, we call, channels that we can reach this audience on tend to differ by audience. And so right now, today, we're really focused on getting in front of folks like yourselves, right? The folks that know crypto, that know DeFi, that may be experts in DeFi. We want to get in front of them because right now, what we have available today as we build out our mobile app is the value we deliver in terms of the yield, in terms of price accretion, in terms of, being able to generate more NUM for yourself and become a bigger NUM holder, right? And so to do that, we use a mix of, say, we have our foundational, blocking and tackling tactics like our press releases. We do AMAs with your, folks like yourself. We do partner marketing with a few select projects, and really we lean heavily on community-based marketing, right? Because again, in this market that we're in right now, there is a lot of fear out there, and with that comes a lot of skepticism. And because of that skepticism, a lot of the marketing that we're going to be spending on that is more high cost, like for example, banner ads, or maybe it's text ads, and we do intend to use those in the near future, when the market does kind of back away from the fear-based mentality that it's in right now. It makes it really expensive, right, to get in front of people. So we are trying to mobilize our own community and our friendly communities like yourself to help us, right, be a force multiplier on our marketing dollars. So that if we spend X to get a press release or a sponsored article or a certain partnership out there, that we can, instead of paying for Twitter ads, we can have the community go out there and spread the word. And then you start having network effects start to kick in. You have 1, 2, 3 degrees of separation. You have exponential reach. And once you get out to that second and third degree of separation, and that's really what we're focused on. But we do have some really exciting community marketing and a lot of different activities that we're doing. But maybe I should let Aaron speak to that because he's really at the heart of all those programs.
Yeah, right now we've been really getting grounded in this idea of throwing poker tournaments. We've always been hosting game nights, and we started with poker, and we haven't left it because it's been a really enjoyable experience, like team side, community side. So we've been practicing around with some platforms and throwing some tournaments. They've been pretty successful. We've had hundreds of people show up. We've been giving away hundreds of dollars worth of Noom. Everybody's had a really good time. But we have all kinds of other community-oriented things that we have going for us. We have an ambassador program where basically is the people who are our most diehard fans that I talk to every day. We go out and we spread the word together. It's just like it's a lot of just kind of normal crypto community activity when you're talking about going and jiving off each other's energy and spreading the word and getting into new spaces and talking to people about things and just like honestly just getting out there, connecting with people, spreading it out and getting that exponential growth. But
Yeah,
I mean, I do want to make a point of saying though, just following up Mister earlier, the efforts to utilize the the core energy of people like myself as a community lead and the community itself, like this is a tactic that we're leaning on during these types of market conditions. But not only that, we're working really hard and really close to releasing a lot of different products. So for us, like it's not just timing it with market conditions, but also with our own development situation. So we've been out this whole month talking to people, doing this AMA tour, spreading our outreach, getting up Reddit posts, going through Telegram and everything. Just any lounges or partnerships that we have with other project creators, just getting the word out, inviting them to community events. But once once we have more products released and the market is picking up, it's just that much more incentive to actually start utilizing some of that more heavier marketing tactics. And then by then we'll have established a really fantastic community foundation to amplify that even more. So just like with everything else in our project, we are working our way up to that. And trust me, we do have plans for some serious marketing in the future that isn't relying solely on the community. But any good project is going to have just as much power in their marketing capabilities with the dollars they're spending as they do with their community who believes in that project the way we do.
and I should add there, just, as part of one of our, basket of marketing tactics, one thing that we're about to roll out is our partner program and our ambassador program, right? So some of this doesn't quite fall into hard and fast, quote unquote, marketing, but I'll mention it anyway. So the way our partner program works is we're incentivizing folks in the community, anybody on this call, anybody in our Discord and our Telegram, and who follows us on Twitter, we're asking them, hey, do you know folks in the space that are looking to deploy capital, that are looking to invest their funds and earn positive APR, APY, positive interest rates on their funds? And if they can refer those funds to us, refer those vault deposits to us, we'll reward them with up to 1% of the value of that vault deposit, because we can earn more than 1% from a protocol standpoint. Our revenue is more than 1% on that deposit. So we can pass through a portion of that revenue to anybody that refers it to us, right? As like a bounty, if you want to consider it that. Right. So that'll be live soon. We're getting the website up next week. And once we do get the website up, hopefully it's early next week, but things can, take time. There can be bugs with the code that we do need to fix. But regardless, we'll be live with that next week. And once that's live, we'll be able to start onboarding folks to really go out there and help us get these vault deposits and help us, not only increase our revenue, but actually, increase the awareness for the project. And in return for that, you get that up to 1% bounty, right, on that vault deposit. And then something else that we're doing as more of an internal thing, but we are actively recruiting ambassadors to help us do this, is we are going into potential partner projects, right? Whether they're metaverse projects, NFTs and such, or they're DeFi projects, or maybe they're just, they have no DeFi, they have no metaverse, but they're just a token sitting out there, right? If they have funds in their treasury that are just sitting there, we're going to them and actively pitching them and saying, hey, rather than having your funds sit there, we can put your funds to use. If they're stable coins, even better, because you don't have to worry about asset devaluation, right? If you can just bring us that capital and deposit those funds into our vaults, we can generate positive return on that investment for you with very little work on their part, right? So that's the part that's not quite like a marketing thing, but I mean, it does help us increase our awareness, because when we do get in with these projects, they spread the word to their community. And certainly it does provide us the revenue to, pay for that expensive marketing, the super expensive marketing today, but hopefully less expensive in the future. But it does help us pay for that as well.
Okay, great, Mr. Minister. And going back to the NumisMe Pro app and the NumisMe app, when that launches, what's the fee structure? I don't think we went over the fee structure for investors. How is it compared to the competitors?
Yes, we are quite competitive, and we do take a 20% on yield, right? So whatever that vault deposit in aggregate, we call it TVL, total value locked, right? Whatever that value is, we earn a X percent, right, in terms of yield on that. And whenever we harvest that yield, we take 20% of that harvest. So it's not 20% of vault deposits that we make, it's 20% of the yield that comes in. And that is quite competitive, because we see a range from around 17% to upwards of 30, even 40% in terms of performance fees out there. So we are quite competitive there. We are at the bottom of that range, and we're looking to reduce as many fees as possible. For example, and let me just clarify here, that is our revenue fee today, and that will be our revenue fee for NumisMe Pro as well. For products like our Pay Me self-repaying loans, we are considering at this point removing all fees, just because we have such a competitive product there, right? That we'd hate to put up any barriers in front of everyone. So we have been talking in the past about having a 1.1% withdrawal fee out of our Pay Me self-repaying loans, but we're looking to get rid of that now. And essentially what the Pay Me self-repaying loans product does is it's basically a free crypto loan. So it allows a user, let's sit in the user's seat for a second. An investor can bring us, say, 1,000. It could be 10,000, 100,000. Let's just use 1,000 for now. They can bring us 1,000 stablecoin. So $1,000 in stablecoin, and deposit it into our self-repaying loans product. And what we do is we give them up to 60% the value of their deposit instantly as stablecoin. And that is the loan, right? So if they take up the max, if they bring us $1,000, we can give them $600 in stablecoin instantly, that they can do whatever they want with. They can sit on it, they can go buy some more Noom, they can turn it into ETH and come into our ETH vault, or
they can make degen plays.
They can make degen plays, whatever they want, right? And we will pay that loan back for them over a certain number of years, right? And once that loan is paid back, we give that initial deposit right back to the user. So again, if we go back to the $1,000 deposit scenario, if you deposit $1,000, you get your max of $600 in a loan. When we pay that loan back for the investor, we will give the $1,000 right back to them. So at the end of the day, after some years, they'll have $1,600 instead of $1,000, right? So that's kind of one way to look at beating inflation, right? Another way is, if you want to go into a bit of more of a degen play, you can loop those funds, you can compound them and go into our vaults and earn more Noom and just keep on repeating that process. And really, for us, we're looking to remove the fees off that product, because our version of this will be basically sitting at the top of the market in terms of competitiveness. We don't liquidate funds, right? There is no liquidation risk on the loan you take out. So that already classes a bunch of crypto lenders out of our competitive matrix. We offer higher LTV, loan to value. So while our closest competitor offers 50%, the ability to take up to 50% of your deposit in a loan, we offer 60%. So that's competitive right there. But because right now we've been so focused on building out our yield engine, the ability for us to deliver fairly high, not the highest you'll ever see. Again, we don't chase those yields, but we do deliver really high yields on stablecoin. Because we can do that, we blow our competitors out of the water, right? The closest competitor is somewhere in the range of 0.5% to 2.5% yield that they use. They use that 2.5% yield to pay back the loan, right? But in order to pay back a loan at 2.5%, you're talking about decades. For us, we're talking about yield to pay back the loan, right? But in order to pay back a loan at 2.5%, you're talking about decades. For us, we're talking about years to pay down that loan, right? At that point, at 50 years, you're no longer beating inflation, especially today. But when we talk about a few years and you get a 60%, right, return on your initial deposit, that is inflation beating today, right? And so, yeah, so in that's the reason why we're so excited for our Pay Me self-repaying loans.
Pay me.
It's a fun name, I hope. It's a bit of a play on NumisMe, right? Eventually we'll get to the point where we're a household name, like, hey, instead of Venmo me, it's a NumisMe, right? And now that we're offering self-repaying loans, we're essentially paying the user to come deposit. And in that way, for a user, it's kind of like pay me on my loan, right? So yeah, it's Pay Me self-repaying loans.
Awesome, man. That's great to explain the fees and everything there, Mr. and Mr. Yeah, when I was doing the research, it came into my head, you miss me with NumisMe.
There's that too. Oh, and yeah, and a fun little fact actually. This came from Misam, our founder's brain. NumisMe comes from the term numismatics, which it relates to being like a collector and an expert and enthusiast of like currencies and especially like coins, right? And because we take change, which sometimes comes in coins, and we digitize it, we thought, hey, we'll make a play on numismatics, and it just became NumisMe. So yeah, that's a fun little thing just to get out there.
It's like the perfect name, man. It rolls off the tongue and it's so relevant to what we're doing. Like the branding is on point. We do a good job with almost every aspect of this project, I think.
Especially patting ourselves on the back. So yes, right
Yeah,
on.
it's a firm pad. Feels good.
Awesome, Aaron and Mr. and Mr. And are you offering educational resources for new crypto investors, as we're expanding and we become mainstream crypto? Are you offering anything around that area?
Oh God,
Yeah.
I wish Poppy was here right now to talk about this. He's so amazing. Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Tell him about this.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, please do. Let me just say this, and I think Aaron, you should speak to our DeFi educational series. But the single best place for education on all this, excuse me, the single best place to educate yourself, not just on our project, but really how DeFi works in general, is our Telegram and our Discord, right? And that's how a lot of my learning came from other community members that would directly answer me, right? No matter what time of day it was, somebody was awake and super excited to share their experience or give me an answer to a question I had. And that's a great source of learning, right? But we do have a DeFi educational series that's really, I think I'm excited for. Mr. Pappy's excited for. Too bad he's having connection issues. But Aaron, yeah, do you want to speak to the DeFi educational series a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, just as like a start off to our week, every Monday morning we get together, and we do coffee and crypto. We, honestly, a lot of times it goes 45 minutes, sometimes an hour. We have a team meeting that happens kind of afterwards, so it just depends on how important whatever we've got to talk about is. But we try to spend as much time as we can. But that's just kind of like a more casual setting for it. But we discuss that topic pretty consistently, not just in our channels throughout the week, but Poppy also hosts, what is that? What is that he hosts on his Twitter space every other week? What's the name of that?
Yeah, that is the DeFi educational series. That's on.
Okay.
That's you're saying on Twitter Spaces, right? That's the happy
Yeah,
hour that we do.
yeah. The happy hour with Pappy. Yeah, exactly. Happy hour with Pappy. And he's got a lot of DeFi friends. They're in both him and Mr. are in some great communities. They really are some DeFi whizzes, man. I've learned so much just being a part of this project. And like I said, I'm 18 months and I didn't come from a tech background or a programmer background or even a financial background. So it's this whole time in crypto has been a learning experience for me. And I can't tell you how much I've learned from Poppy and Mr. in this process, and Misam and Jay too, for that matter. But yeah. So and then Poppy's also starting. Well, let's see, what's this called? I think it's August 3rd. Correct me if I'm wrong. But he's starting his first live stream on our YouTube um, of the decentralized finance series. So, and I mean, we also have a bunch of like technical analysis and analysis of the space that we get posted onto our Twitter. And we are firm believers in educating people in the space and protecting people in the space. I mean, actually, just literally just hours ago, maybe not even 12 hours ago, we had one of our community members who messaged me about somebody messaging them about some sort of app to download and asking for credit cards, some after opportunity. And it's just like, no, dude, like trust me, like this is a scam. And so he kind of realized like, oh my God, like what almost happened, and backed away. Cause we've been in the space long enough. We know we've seen some things and some stuff. And we're always trying to look out for not only our community, but just, the world at large. We're based around mass adoption into cryptos, what this project is going to be doing. And so in order to do that, we have to make sure that we're providing educational resources so that people not only know how to use our DeFi products or how to use our app, but also just to understand the space, because that's the first step into utilizing it to gain the kind of financial freedom that we're all trying to achieve.
Okay, great, Aaron and Mr. And are you offering any sort of referral program for investors if they bring friends and family into the NumisMe project?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mr. had actually touched on that a little bit earlier when he was mentioning our partner program we're about to come out, where you can earn up to a 1% referral fee based on bringing people into the project, into the vaults and stuff like that. So yeah, like he was saying, that should be updated, site out, everything kind of ready this week, coming up.
Next week. Yep.
Yep, coming up. Yep. So yeah, if that answers that question there.
Okay, awesome. Let's open it up to the rest of the team if anyone's got a question for Mr. or Aaron here at NumisMe.
One thing that I was hoping to talk about, actually, it's not a question, sorry, but I did want to mention, we have so many things going on that it's hard to fit it into one AMA. But if you would give me a moment to talk about our LP Double Up program, it is a first in the DeFi space. So, it is kind of one of the themes, right? We are aiming to be the first at so many different things. One of the things that we've just launched is our LP Double Up program. And that is a program that allows any potential liquidity provider, anybody that wants to provide liquidity into Uniswap, and then stake their LP tokens for a reward, it allows them to double the size of their position for free. So what we're saying is, if you bring us 10 ETH, instead of Uniswap taking half of that ETH and turning it into the Noom token, right, and ending up with a total liquidity pool value position, I should say, of 10 ETH, what we're saying is bring us the 10 ETH, come into the LP Double Up program, and we will give you 10 ETH worth of Noom for free, right? And that allows you to essentially have, if you come in with 10 ETH worth of liquidity, you get into the pool with 20 ETH worth of the ETH token and the Noom token, and that allows you to earn rewards in Noom at an even faster clip, right? And while you're contributing to stabilizing token price and contributing to the project overall, might as well be rewarded, right? And the way that works is, right now we are in beta, and it is an invite only program. But we do intend to take this out of beta quite soon. We're seeing some good performance and some good demand. So, all those checkboxes are being met. And what we do is we onboard you into this program. And which actually is it's a source of education, right? Because with both the LP Double Up program and the partner program, we do provide an onboarding, a white glove onboarding experience that is not just arming folks with the education they need to understand how NumisMe works, but really how DeFi works in general. So that's important to put out there. But we onboard folks into the LP Double Up program, and when they enter, we basically give them the Num that they need to double up their LP position. And when they exit, what we do is we just split the pot with them, right? To help mitigate impermanent loss and mitigate from locking that in, we do just split the pot. We just give half the LP tokens right back, and that equates to roughly half the ETH and half the Num that was in that position. But all the while, what we're saying is you want this to be a long-term play, because the idea here isn't to just come into the liquidity pool, get some rewards, and then leave. We want LP Double Up providers to be long-term, to be in there providing that liquidity long-term, and in return for that, we'll give them even more rewards at a faster clip, and they can do whatever they want with those rewards, whether they sell them or they stake them to boost their vault APR, or they stake them to boost their vault APR and to earn the ETH revenue share. Whatever they want to do with that Num, that is their decision, right? So, at the high level, it's basically bring us the ETH, we'll give you the Num to match it, we'll double your LP position, we'll give you rewards even faster, and while you're getting those rewards, you can do whatever you want with those. But yeah, we do encourage everybody that's interested to apply. We do have a link to the application form on our Web3 app. That's on app.numisme.io. You just click the Liquidity tab, and you go to the overview and you click on the LP Double Up link. But we do have the link in our documentation. It's also in our Discord. But I mean, Aaron, maybe you could share a link to that application form here.
Yeah, sure. I'll grab it.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, great, Mr. And I do have a question from Acties on our team, but unfortunately his Twitter Spaces keeps going on the blink.
We're hearing that with our side too. We have we have a couple folks that we were hoping could be on the speaker stage, but they're having connection issues. So yeah, totally feel you on that. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, it's a great space, Twitter Spaces, but I think it's early stages, and there's a few bugs to work out. But he was asking, when will the app be ready, or a beta version? What's the next product you're working on right now?
Okay, so the app will take, it's on the month scale. I can't give you, and I prefer not to give a definitive timeline. Building products like this, and in my personal experience, and I think anybody that is a developer will tell you the same, it's really hard to predict kind of what kind of bugs we're going to be facing, and sometimes those bugs take a while to fix. So it is on the month scale. I can't give you a definitive timeline. But we are hard at work, right? And in terms of releasing it in beta, we will be going live with a beta first, certainly. And we are considering making that an invite-only thing as well in the early days. But that just like we're doing with our LP Double Up program, it should be a short-lived beta phase, and we would go, we would launch the final version shortly thereafter. But I just can't give you a timeline, but I can tell you it's on the month scale, right? As far as the next products that are on deck, we currently have our core yield engine live, and that is our vaults today on app.numisme.io. We've just launched our LP Double Up program. Right over the horizon is our revenue share program. We'll actually start sending out that revenue really soon. And then right after that will be our pay me self-repaying loans. That is, we're holding that back. We're in staging right now. We're in a testing environment with our pay me self-repaying loans product. We are testing it currently. We are going to be very careful in how we roll this out. It is a fully audited product, and we have already patched everything. We're just in that final phase of testing. But we do want to make sure that we launch into the right market condition. That B, we do have the right marketing strategy and the right marketing partners in place to support that marketing, to support that launch, I should say. And then finally, we want to make sure that we generate enough interest in it before it even launches, right? And so with that, I don't want to give a timeline on that pay me self-repaying loans launch, but that is on the scale of weeks, right? So that I'm not talking about like 52 weeks. I'm talking about like, single digit weeks. So we're really close to that one. Right after that, we'll have our NumisMe Pro vaults come online. And at that point, we'll start migrating all our infrastructure over to our next gen architecture, right? And that will become that final step before we start really, working our marketing, really working community, and working with our partners to focus on our mobile app. And then we have everything else on the roadmap as well, right? Insurance and debit cards and things like that. And by the way, if you look at our roadmap, it's really front loaded here. And it tends to if you look at it, it gets less and less as you go down the roadmap. And that's intentional. And that's not because we are going to be doing less in the future. It's because we want to give ourselves, without putting in writing anywhere, the wiggle room to add more to the roadmap. And, as the product evolves, as the project grows and matures, we want that wiggle room to be able to put out more products into the later stages of our roadmap. So, not to say anything I talked about is going to be the end all and be all, or that this is our roadmap and then we're done, right? We are in continued development. We intend to continue to evolve and upgrade over the years. We just can't predict right now what that looks like because the space moves so quickly and the pace of innovation is just mind-boggling that if anybody tells you they can predict what's going to happen in 2 years in DeFi, you should run. You should run as fast as possible, right? And get away from that project as soon as you can. But like for us, we want to give ourselves that flexibility to adapt to trends, to make sure that we're always going to be market competitive.
That's great, Mr. and Mr. Now let's open it up to the Twitter community. I think we've got a few people that would like to ask questions here. Let's see, Captain Levi. Captain Levi, are you there? You had a question for either Mr. and Mr. or Aaron here at NumisMe?
Yeah, thanks, Glenn. It's a great project. Your white paper really technical. In fact, I really have to go through my economics notes to completely understand some of these terms. But I'm currently on your self-repaying loans chapter, and I'm seeing the principle of the 60% LTV in stable coins. I do not know if you've given an overview already, but I wanted asking, do I need to deposit 60% of my assets in order to apply for a loan?
No, that's a great question, and maybe that's something we should clarify in the white paper, but certainly within our other documentation as well. What we mean by 60% LTV, that's loan to value, is we can give you up to 60% of the value of your deposit. So no, you don't have to deposit 60% of your holdings. You can deposit 100% of your holdings, 10% of your holdings, whatever that number is. Let's say it's $1,000, $1,000 in stablecoin. Whatever you deposit, we will give you as a loan up to 60% the value of what you've deposited. So if you deposit $1,000, you can get up to $600 back. And that's the concept of loan to value, LTV. And for, just to add one more point that I don't think I covered earlier, the LTV that you take out, the loan size that you take out up to the max will determine how quickly we repay your loan. The lower the loan amount that you take out, the faster we can repay your loan, right? So if you take out 60% and you max out and you get $600 off your $600 off your $1,000 deposit, it'll take us, a matter of years to pay that back. But if you take out like 10%, we can probably pay that back in like, a year or less, So that's kind of the math there. And that starts to get a little bit more technical. And I try, one of my things is I tend to my brain works in that way. So I try to not be technical on these calls. But so yeah, let me stop myself there. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, I think I understand it. Maybe I'll just send you a DM so that you can run through the technical concept with me. So you've explained the 60%, but so what's the difference between that and PayMe, which offers a higher LTV? So how would I go about how does the PayMe loans work, and in what way is it exactly different from the regular one?
Oh, no,
Oh,
sorry. I think I misunderstood your question. I thought we were talking about pay me loans this whole time. Sorry. What I was talking about was the pay me self-repaying loans. What was your original question? Sorry.
Okay. Oh, I understand. I understand. I just reread it now, and I think I get it. Sorry about that. Okay. My next question is on your fixed supply. Um, basically, my little understanding of economics, if I remember correctly, countries usually pump more more of their, they usually print more money in order to, I don't know, is it for during inflation and during recession. Now, you're saying that you're going to actually be rather decreasing the supply. While this will actually bring more value to your token, wouldn't there be an adverse effect to this?
Yeah, that's a great question. And actually, no, it would. Great question, by the way, and good example about, certain sovereignties that do inflate their economies by just printing massive amounts of money, massive amounts of fiat, right? But to be clear, our reduction of our final total supply is not an adverse event. If anything, it increases the value of every NUM for all NUM holders, because what we're doing is, what we're saying is, we have a capped amount. We have a capped amount of tokens. So even if we wanted to, we wouldn't be able to make more tokens. It's just impossible. It's hard coded into the smart contract, right? But what we can do is we can take tokens out of circulation. And when we take tokens out of circulation, it's kind of like, if if you think of it as like, here's the value of all the tokens out there, right? And then you divide it by all the tokens, right? Then you get a price per token. So you take this value of all these tokens out there and say it's 100 tokens. Now, if you take the 100 tokens and it's worth a certain amount, and all of a sudden you take, say, 50 of those tokens out of circulation and take them off the market, then basically the value of what's remaining is the same, but the number of tokens is less. So you're taking the same value and you're dividing it by fewer tokens, and then that makes the token price increase, right? And so that's the way to look at it, and that's why we're actively looking at mitigating that inflation, right? The dilution that we're going to be facing as tokens come online, as our NUM token comes into circulation. And that is based on one of the learnings that we've landed on from our time in the DeFi space. Because if you look at a lot of those projects out there, especially a lot of the meme coins, it's infinite mint. They can mint as many tokens as they want, or they have trillions of supply, so they can just push tokens out there. And what that does is it tends to tank the price. Like, sure, during that hype phase and the initial phase where there are more buyers than there are sellers, right? You can go and you can use these extra tokens that you're putting out onto market to really pump the price, but that's never sustainable. And there are very few certainties in DeFi, but one of those certainties I can say on the record is that infinite mint and something like, trillions of tokens of total supply, those are not sustainable, right? And you can force it by injecting more capital, but that's not sustainable either, because where is that capital going to come from? So for us, what we're focused on is a capped supply, a fixed supply, so that we can control the economy, essentially, right? We can make sure that we don't introduce so many more tokens that everybody's dumping them and it tanks the price. And we're looking at reducing the final total supply of our tokens, so that the people that are invested today do not get diluted too greatly in the future, right? Because you shouldn't be punished for being an early investor, right? You should be, if anything, rewarded more greatly than anybody that comes in during the later stages. And one of the ways we're doing that is not just through our tokenomics, but another way is for us to reduce our total supply in the future. But we'll speak to that more in the near future. We're holding back on details on how we're going to do that until we can scale up a bit more, until we get more awareness and we have a sizable community, because we do consider that a marketing event. We consider that a marketable moment that we can let everybody know that, hey, great, you believed in us already. You're already holding NUM. Well, guess what? We're going to take all of these tokens offline, right? And boom, right then, all of a sudden, every token you hold becomes that much more valuable because there are fewer of those tokens out there. So Yeah, we'll hold back details. For anybody that's well versed in the space, I think I've dropped enough hints that you can understand what we're planning in the future. But maybe I should just stop talking. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, it actually does. I think I'll have to re-listen to this recording again. And I have a few more questions. I mean, I'm seeing the fact that you don't need to be connected to a bank and the fact that you can actually use NumisMe as the currency for your partnership and all. But I think I'll be asking you the questions directly. I'll go through your social media channels to ask the rest of the questions. It's a great project and I'm wishing you guys the best. I hope you stay bullish moonward. Over to you, Glenn.
Yes, thank you. And looking forward to hearing from you. Please do. Whether it's me or Aaron or Mr. Pap or anybody on the team, our DMs are always open. We will not DM first. So please don't hesitate to reach out, but we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, if you see me sitting in voice chat in our Telegram, man, hop in, hang out.
Okay, great. Thanks for the questions, Captain Levi. And yeah, while we're actually in the Twitter spaces, if you actually click on Mr. and Mr. NumisMe, you can actually, actually join their Twitter. Yeah, you can just do a follow there if you click on his logo, should I say. Let's move on to Aisha. Aisha, you had a question for Mr. and Mr. or Aaron here? Go ahead.
Yeah, I do have. Thank you. Okay, I was thinking that will you also be providing vendors or retailers and stores with debit or credit card POS terminal devices so that they can receive the payment directly in their NumisMe app wallet or account through credit or debit card?
Oh, that's a great question. Thank you for that, Aisha. So I think the short answer here is we're definitely looking at that. We're definitely exploring rolling out hardware, but that starts to get us into a place where we don't have as much control over, right? Because developing hardware is tough. So today we are talking to retail partners, our merchant partners, right, that already have that infrastructure in place. They already have their POSs that are able to have scanners and things like that, whether it's, one of those handheld scanners or it's on one of the automated kiosks so that, allows people to check out from the store without a person. They can just scan it and, swipe their card or insert their cash into the machine, right? So we're talking to those kinds of partners, and we're very focused on that right now. But I think if I can maybe just kind of assume a couple things from your question is you're speaking to parts of the world where that infrastructure is not really that well built out. So the way we're looking at that is in two different ways, right? It is hardware rollout, right, to enable the point of sale to be able to do things like scan potentially. But what the other thing that is worth mentioning here is markets like that where they don't have the infrastructure fully built out yet, or maybe have no plans to in the future, right, have already kind of leapfrogged past that point. And they are very heavily reliant on mobile payments and maybe even not even bank connected mobile payments, right? It's all on phone and connect to your phone's account, right? So those are the kinds of partnerships that we would really focus on in those markets, right? To be able to integrate our technology with the payment providers, those rails, if you want to call it that, right? The fiat rails that are already in place in some parts of the world, right? Where you have huge adoption of mobile-based payments and maybe even, circumventing banks altogether. It turns your mobile provider into almost your cell provider almost into that bank, right? And that's where we would focus on rolling out. So we're not the final goal here is not so much based on the technology on how we scan or things like that. It's more on the concept that we want to be able to integrate with existing payment infrastructure and get them to integrate our technology so that we can get the physical fiat, to be digitized, right? And that doesn't have to be by a scanner. It just so happens that our home market in the US, the infrastructure is quite built out. Almost every single store you go into has a scanner, right? So that's where we're focused today. But yeah, certainly we're looking at solutions for other parts of the world.
Understood. That would be really wonderful. Okay, I was also wondering that when vendors uh, or retailer at any store is returning the change to customer digitally, will it be necessary for retailer to have fiat in their NumisMe app or wallet, or they can also transfer change from their bank account to customer NumisMe account or wallet?
We're not going to say that they can't. We don't really see any scenarios right now where they would, but there is no requirement for them to hold new, right? Because really, we handle all the crypto side of things. We are relying on the vendor to handle the digital fiat side of things. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're the ones that are essentially allowing people to on ramp into crypto, being the retailers who provide the transactions where people are using their cash purchasing power to bring that digital fiat into their NumisMe wallet.
But actually,
Got it. Thank you for answering.
yeah. Well, no, thank you for the question. And, just one point of clarification. We are actually talking to one partner right now that is interested in, building a Noom position. And so we're talking about a slightly different kind of product for them, where we can enable them to not only meet their own operational requirements by having to pay their own bills, but whatever is left over, maybe they want to allocate into Noom and go stake that Noom to earn ETH as part of the revenue share, for example. A bunch of different scenarios on the table right now, but no, there are partners that are interested in building a Noom position. It's just that is not what we're focused on in terms of digitizing that fiat, right? Our vision.
I'm sure a lot of people will opt into it of their own accord in the future, 5-10 years down the line. Stores are gonna they'll probably be asking us about it, right?
Yeah, and we're already hearing that from partners, right? You have folks on that side of the table that are interested from a personal standpoint, but when it comes to representing the company that they work for, that's a slightly different conversation, right? So yeah, but no, great question, Aisha. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for Mr. and Aaron from the NumisMe project today. It's been an awesome pleasure speaking to you today. Really exciting project, great for our Twitter community to hear about the NumisMe project. I'm looking forward to the future for the team and the community. And like I say, if you do click on Mr. and Mr. It's NumisMe here in the logo, you'll be able to follow them on Twitter. As we always say for Wellcoin Talk community investors, AMAs are for research and educational purposes. It's not financial advice. But you can check out the website white paper and the official socials there in our main chat and Telegram also. And yeah, if you click on, like I say, NumisMe, you'll be able to follow them on Twitter and you'll be able to find their socials and get over to their Telegram and Discord also. Thank you very much for coming today, guys.
Oh,
Thank
it
you,
was a
Glenn.
pleasure. Thank you for hosting. It's been great.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're a legend, bro. Thank you very much for talking. It was a great AMA we had today.
Okay, awesome, guys. Yeah, I mean, an hour and a half flies when you've got great speakers like Mr. and Aaron here. Yeah, so it's been a pleasure, and I'll finish the call now and send over a copy for you to share with your community, and I'll send that into our Telegram, and that will also be tweeted out for anyone who wants to listen back to the call. Thank you very much for coming today, and take care.
Thank you. Have a good one.